holy crap. Oh my gosh. It's been forever since I've knit. Hi. Hey. Let me get myself situated. Wasn't ready! Seriously though, not ready. At all. So it's been forever. Because it has been. Because just everything going on. And of course, I'm like super not ready. So, don't mind me. Seriously though, like, I want to say that my class ate my brain. And that's what happened. And that's my story and I'm sticking to it. And it looks like I got into a fight with a cat, by the way. I didn't. Seriously though? Like, there we go. Sorry about the echo there for a second. Now, I have some sharp stuff really close to my desk and I keep hitting my hand. You can tell that I'm right-handed because it's all of the hits are on my right hand. So, I'm taking a break from Uncharted to work on this for about an hour. Like minimum half an hour, but about an hour. That's the goal. So, life has been a lot. I finished my class 1 month and 5 days ago. And since then, life has been a whole bunch of, oh my freaking god. Like one thing after another, basically. And, yeah. Yeah. I have had to argue about my taxes. I've had to deal with the backlash of changing my name. I've had to get everything set. For, let's see, get everything set for my new position because I got a promotion at work because of the coursework I just finished. I also found out, like quite by accident, that they shorted me on my check, which is great. It's super exciting. So now I'm gonna get a little extra money on my next check, plus what they should have given me in my last one, which was my first one that I was promoted. It took like 3 or 4 weeks, I think, to happen. Like, I put in the week of my exam. My exam was the 20th. And I started the 5th. So like 2 weeks or so. Okay, so less than 3. Which is fine. That's great. But seriously, it was a lot. And I'm still kind of recovering from not having to go to class. You know, which is gonna end in like 2 weeks because I'm gonna go and start another class on the 17th, and that's gonna kill my weekends because I'm going to be going to class on the weekend, and that also is going to interrupt some of the little free time that I have because I'm going to be going to class basically every weekend. I don't know for how long. I feel like a month or two. That sounds right. Which is great, and I mean, by great I mean awful. Yeah. It means I'm not gonna be able to do certain things, like, at all. So, yeah, that. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I'm not loving that. And I don't know how I'm not gonna deal with that right yet. So, here we are. Mm-hmm. I have mouse and friends in my house. Um, I don't know if that was going on when I talked to y'all last. It's annoying. I've caught some of them, but mice reproduce like quickly. So, yeah, that's fine. Lovely. Friends like, you should get a cat, and I'm like, first of all, I like cat litter. Second of all, every single cat I've ever had has not been a good mouser. And friends like, really? All my cats have been great mousers. And I'm like, I mean, that's fine. That's fantastic. That's not been the experience I've had with cats. And so I can't trust them to do that job. And so, yeah. So I've basically been catching them by accident. And I'll take it. That's successful. So that's fun. Um, and I haven't touched like any projects pretty much. I don't know, like since class started, really, like when class started, because I was going to class Tuesdays and Thursdays was one of my big project time day, right? I haven't I haven't really touched or worked on anything steadily since like that class started. And then on the weekends, half the time I'm not available because I've got the wee bit here. And the other half, like, I'm spending the time, you know, trying to read, trying to clean, trying to study, trying to sleep. So, yeah. So, what brought me back is I have a very dear friend who I have known for years. And I was like, well, how are you doing? Are you like working on projects? And they're like, I really haven't been, and I would like to get back to making myself something. And I'm like, that sounds good. I mean, so like, well, what do you want? Like, how about some socks? Like, socks are easy. They're definitely personal, and I know that this person knits socks. And I'm like, I mean, would it help if like you worked on it with somebody? And they were like, I mean, yeah. So we've been talking about it for like the last week. They said they had to start over. We're not we're not feeling really confident or familiar, because it's been so long. And I don't know how many socks they've made now that I think about it. I never asked. I should totally ask. But I've made. I feel like I've made enough socks, and I'm familiar enough with sock knitting that like even walking away from it, like I'm still good. But I don't know how many socks they've made or how comfortable they are with it. So they started their sock like all over and got like halfway I think through the foot last time I checked in with them. Now I'm in the leg area, so I've got my toe, the foot, the heel placed, and I'm just knitting basically till the end of this yarn here. Um, so yeah, that's what's going on there, and I haven't jumped into this because one, it's my weekend project, right between me, you, and the wall. Two, I'm so far ahead of this person that like if I didn't jump in before they got to the heel, like it wasn't gonna be a big deal. I also don't know how far they're gonna work their socks. I'm gonna work mine until the yarn is gone. Go mommy bed. Go. Get up there. Get up there. Or get in your crate. I don't care. She's like, what? What are we doing? Dog's a jerk. Go to bed. Go to bed. She's like, what? She's walking around lost. Like, I don't know what's going on here. Anyway, I don't know where they are. I'll have to ask them next time I have like a free hand. So, and it's funny, I think they're using a yarn. I don't know if I got them this yarn or if they had this yarn, but I was like, oh, I know that yarn. I have that color. Like, I have a pair of socks made out of that color. I'm like, that's funny. Yeah, I need more socks. I think I've finally, like, slowly but surely gone through my actual, like, hand-bought sock, like machine-made, you know, store-bought socks. I'm almost down to the point of I don't have any socks left. Like, we're gonna go up, up. Let's see how far that goes. Alright, so we're gonna like this. There we go. Okay, cool. Yeah, so I'm just maybe down just a smidge. There we go. Yeah, I'm trying to get this. Things I should have done before I started streaming. Let's check that. But it wasn't convenient to do that. Anyway, so I need to check on them and see where they are. I also, like, our time amounts are different. Like, I think they're actively working on their socks, like, during the week. I'm only working on mine on the weekend. I can only kind of guarantee that I'm going to get, like, an hour-ish done in the evenings, because that's what I have allotted for. I've been, like, trying to focus on planning lately, because I haven't finished planning 2023. And, like, I'm close. I have a pile of paper sitting next to me, actually, with a bunch of notes on. I'm to the point where I'm, like, planning out each of these goals I've got, to kind of say, okay, this is what you need to make these things happen. I do need to add some goals, though. Like, the goal I'm working on now, like, it's not imperative that I even, like, finish the planning, because I've already accomplished it at this point. But I don't even know what how I would have broken it down, because this goal, like, I don't know that goal can be broken down so much, because there's, like, few in the way of things that needed to be done to accomplish it. So I don't know. There's that. Whoops, let's put that there. So I'm working on that. One of the goals that is not in there but needs to be in there is, like, to finish planning for 2023, and I'm gonna have to go back and, like, add that as a goal and, like, go through the whole goal process with it, which is, like, a bunch of questions for, like, each thing. And me just trying to, like, make sure I have those things in there. Like, I haven't done anything, so yeah, I think I'm about done. Like, the point I'm at is it's the making mile markers, and then for those mile markers you have, like, to do. So, like, the mile marker that I had up was to get a full-time position where I, like, work during the day, because I was working PRN, right? So to get the full-time position, right, I would have to apply. Okay. To apply, I would have to search, like, and find one, because, you know, they don't have, like, 50, 60 positions open, right, for exactly XYZ. like in every department, all the time. Like that would be terrible because that would mean your staffing problems are huge. So like they had two open when I put in for it. And I had been looking up like before then, up to then, like up to the time that I applied. I had been like keeping an eye out. And then like I had a bunch of questions about that position, like making sure that that was it. And like between me, you, and the wall, like there was two positions, and one was to keep my boss, and the other was to transfer to another person. And I don't like the other person, so I didn't want to work with them. They're just irritating for me to deal with, and like the dealings I've had with them, like I don't really like them. I haven't heard good things about them. A lot of the people, like I've met a handful of people say, "Oh yeah, I love this person," and I'm like, "That's funny." And I'm thinking you're in the minority, and I think if like a lot of people, do not like someone, there's something to that. And look, I am not anybody's cup of tea, like honestly, right? But there are people who don't think I'm like the worst. And like so many people think this person is the worst. And so many people who are actually really nice people that I've worked with and like really good dealings with think this person is the worst. And like I've had conversations with this person. I can't put my like finger on what it is I don't like about this person. I think some of it is like there's like this false there's this disingenuousness, I think, to their communication. Like I think they're a little condescending under the guise of like being like polite or cheery, and so like it just seems really fake. And I don't know. I think if you are gonna be some kind of way and you're just that way, I think you'll have less problems with people than if you try to seem otherwise. And I think that might be it. I'm not sure. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. I'm not working under this person directly. I don't have to regularly deal with them. Like when my boss is out, I have to defer to this person. But I don't typically have to talk to my boss. Like I don't have questions all the time. My questions are like very minimal communication oriented. Like, hey, I'm just clarifying. Is this a thing? No, cool. All right, thanks, bye. And that's it. Like I'm not trying to have conversations with my boss. So I don't really have to worry about it. But yeah, there's just something about them. I can't put my finger on what it is. But like in the department, they left my department, went to another department, and everybody like from the department that they went to when they left that one and came back to ours was glad that they left. And I feel like that should tell you something. Like if an entire department like doesn't like you, like Jesus, like what's going on here? Also, there was something where they were like, oh, I tried to do XYZ and it took me until blah 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 blah, this like ridiculous amount of time to get this done. And I'm like, and they're like, and we have to justify this and this, that, and the other. It's got to be in the budget. And I'm just thinking, there's a need for this to be a thing, right? So that sounds like you can justify the expense. Like this is needed. And they're like, oh, well, and it just seemed like, okay, so if you don't want to do it or you don't think it's worth it, I mean, that's fine. That's not what I said. And I don't care. I didn't ask you. I'm expressing to you, based on my experience in this situation, that this is a need. And that having this accomplished will mean that we can all do our jobs better whenever we have to do this thing. And I don't know. Like that wasn't really up for debate. That wasn't it wasn't well, I think no, it's not an I think. It's a this is a need that needs to be filled. And I don't know, it's weird. So then I asked my boss about it and I'm like, well, this, that, and the other. And they were like, oh yeah, I don't see why that would be a problem. And I'm like, okay, and I'm just thinking that's funny because when I talked to so-and-so, they absolutely gave me pushback over it as if it was a problem or it was difficult or it was something that wouldn't happen. And I'm just like, what in the world is this, like, does this person like know what I'm talking about? Like, what's going on here? I don't know. Right. And, one of the arguments is, oh, well, we don't want you to do this at home or off the clock because we're not going to pay you for it. Okay, so my thing with it is if you're not going to pay for this training, but this training needs to be accomplished for like you to be able to work adequately in certain spaces, why are we not making this a priority to like accomplish, right? Like, I'm not saying that my entire department, right, needs to learn how to do this, right? Because there's probably people in my department that don't want to do this. So what you could say is, hey, if you were interested in doing this job and going over here, this is something that would be integral to you doing that, and you need to get this done, and like let us know, right? Like that's not even what happened. So I told somebody, I said, well, what's going to happen is I'm just going to do it. And someone's like, well, don't do it. Don't do it off the clock because they won't pay for the training. And I'm just like, well, if I'm going to wait for somebody to get something done, I don't have time for that. Right? I'm a proactive kind of person. So I got the training done and like I'm done with it now. And I'm all like checked off. And I haven't actually told my boss because we had to make goals for work, which by the way was gross. It was super disgusting. I hate making goals. But we had to make goals for work. It was some weird rah-rah team nonsense, which I really... Bleh. And one of my goals was to get through this training by the end of the fiscal year, which happens to be in June. Okay, well, I'm done with it, by the way. Like, I've finished as of, like, I think the 21st. So, like, a couple days ago, I finished this. So, like, I definitely met the goal. But what I don't want to say is, oh, yeah, I set this goal, right, and, then say, okay, well, you set this goal, you already accomplished this goal, so you can't use this as your goal. I'm like, I think I should be able to use this as a goal, because it started and ended within the time period that I was given to make the goal for, right? So I think that that's fair. So I haven't brought it up yet, because I haven't gotten, like, it approved, and I want it approved before I go. And, so we had to make a personal goal, a professional one, and then a team-oriented one. And I gotta tell you, I don't care about the team-oriented one. Like, and I talked to a friend about it. Friend was like, I was like, friend, your business, human, help me. And friend was like, yeah, I don't see a purpose in you setting a team goal because you don't work, like, as a team. And I'm like, I know that. Like, my department, we all work independent of one another. If we are out in the field and we see each other, it's really happenstance. You're not regularly going to see anybody. So setting a goal for, like, the team as a whole, as if you regularly work together, didn't really make any sense, right? Like, if I was in a management position and I was definitely going to work with other people, that would make sense, right? But that's not what's going on. Like, I'm kind of an island out there, like a, free agent-ish. And, like, the people, like, I see are the people who I go to help. But those are not, those people, right, are not people I necessarily regularly see or work with. And so setting a goal with those people doesn't make sense either. Because if I go to a specific department to work there and don't go back, and I didn't get the goal achieved the first and last time I was there, then that means I inherently will never achieve that goal, right? And that just doesn't make sense. Like, that's not a good goal, right? And so, like, I don't think that, like, I don't think that was a good metric. And I don't know if anybody thought about this. I don't know if, and they, like, we were supposed to have our goals done and, like, put in, and they were supposed to be put in, like, an approved or submitted by yesterday. And they decided to extend it to, I think, next Friday? Yeah. Maybe? No. It's at the 6th. I don't know. What day is that? I feel like that can't be Friday. That can't be Friday. Next week, that doesn't sound right, right? That doesn't sound right. Let's see. I'm waiting on my calendar to pop up. No. Okay, so that goal is not next Friday. It's not this coming Monday. It's the Monday after, right? Which, okay, as far as extending time, like, that makes sense. But my thing with it is, why did you have to extend the time? Did you have to extend the time because the original deadline that you made was not realistic, right? And if it wasn't realistic, like, why? Like, why did we overestimate how quickly something could get done, right? Anyway, and, like, not only did you have to pick 3 goals in those 3 different, like, echelons of, like, I don't know, organization, right? You also had to make 3 versions of each goal, which just, this all sounds really excessive, by the way. Like, I feel like requiring me to make a super, oh my god, I'm extra goal was a bit much. I think that they could have just said, hey, we're going to set this one goal. And if you would like to make additional versions where the goal is, like, more extensive or more complicated, like, has more steps or whatever, then you can. But I think that shouldn't have been required, right? And the thing with it is I think a lot of people, especially given the demographic that I seem to work with, I think a lot of people they're just trying to work. They're just trying to make money and get by. If they're in class or school, get through classes, you know, they're trying to just do the job and go home. Like, I don't even think the people who are going to school to get more training are trying to make this, like, a career, right? I feel like a lot of those people, this is just a job. This is a job that pays well enough, that lets them have what they want and they need, and that's it, right? Like, that's all it is. Like, I don't think anybody is super passionate about this job, and, you know, particularly, I think that the place that I work for is, it's a decent place because it's a good sized company, and there's lots of opportunities because it's so large, right? You don't have to stay in our department or at your level. And in terms of, like, retention, if you stay with them for at least a year, they'll help you, like, go to school. And the thing with it is like, that can absolutely move you up the ladder. But I think that anybody moving up the ladder in, like, you know, their early mid-20s, they're doing that for purely practical reasons. They're not doing it because they're super into, like, you know, this field or this job or this company. They're just like, well, this lets me do XYZ, and so fine, I can do this. Like, I really don't think a lot of people are super into it. And it's not that none of them are, right? Like, there's definitely some that probably are like, oh my gosh, I really love this idea. But the other thing with it is some of these people who love this idea, they don't have any experience with it. So I don't even know that they really have an idea of, like, what they're getting into. Like, and you know what I can do is I can text some of my team, my freaking coworkers, and I'm like, hey, I got a question. Like, why'd you do this? Like, why'd you get into this? Like, I'm just asking. Like, I don't care. I'm just asking. I personally fell into it myself. I fell into it. I had no intention of staying. People keep asking me, well, when are you going to do XYZ? And I'm like, never. And they're like, what? And I'm like, I'm not trying to do that. Like, I have no interest in doing that. And I think some people get into it and they're like, oh my God, I'm really passionate about doing this thing. Like, this really matters to me. I really enjoy this work. And I'm just like, I'm able to do this. I'm capable of doing it. And so fine, right? And I just very recently, like, decided on what I might want to do for my undergrad. And I'm still thinking about it. And I've got time because I have a certificate program I would like to go through. I've got the classes I'm about to take right now. And I've got an associate's I'd like to pursue. And all of that is going to come before me even pursuing my undergrad, right? So I've got a while. And some of that's going to like eat up me having to worry about certain things. Now, I do know that after I'm there for a year, theoretically, my job would be willing to possibly pay for me to do like pursue this associates. I don't know that they will for sure, but I can ask. And if they say no, I've already decided that I'm gonna do it. And so I'm just like I've got time to figure out like how to do that. And yeah. But I've had multiple people actually try to talk me out of what I'm thinking about going to school for, like long term. And or people hearing the undergrad I'm considering, and then being like, "Oh my God, like, oh, there's so many you can do XYZ with that," and I'm like, "I'm not going to though," and they're just looking at me like, "What?" I'm like, "I'm not picking this as an undergrad because I want to do this job. I'm picking this because I need an undergrad, and it's a sensible solution, an option." To what I want to ultimately do. And what I want to ultimately do is something that I would be very good at because of the kind of person I am and the kind of work I do. And I have an aptitude for the field that I happen to work in, right? And the undergrad supports like some of that aptitude and some of those tendencies. So it's honestly, it's just a logical thing to do. And it's not more complicated than that. Like, I don't feel super passionate about doing this. I'm just really fucking good at it. And so it makes sense. Which does make it sound like my statement earlier is me projecting. But a lot of the people that I have come across, like, they have point blank said to me, "Oh, I'm trying to, make that paper." And I'm like, I mean, that's fine. I do not think that you should take on, like, a job that you hate. Hold on. Anyway, I had somebody ask me something. But yeah, so here we are. I think it's a little ironic that the undergrad is what, like, I'm choosing is what it is. And, like, yeah. It's funny, it actually ties into, like, a bunch of other stuff, too. And it's fucking irony right there. So, We have made it 30 minutes. I'm going to try and continue to go for another 30. I feel like this yarn is like going on forever. Like, why is this not done yet? And the answer is I don't know. Anyway, yeah, I don't know. Like, I've trained 2 people so far on this job, and like offered to help a bunch of people that I've just like seen out. Like, either they were new where I was, or they were new in my department, and I don't know. My perspective is, if I can help you, it's not like really gonna like, it's not gonna cost me anything to like help you out. It's not gonna cost me anything to, you know, be like nice or facilitate something for you. Um, and I try when I can, which just doesn't mean I'm always successful. I try to leave people better than I found them. So like, I want your experience with me to mean that you're better equipped to handle, deal with, or whatnot. And you know, always, 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 if you know, you have questions or you're not sure of something, like, reach out to me. And if I don't know, I might know somebody who does, and I'm happy to pass that along. I actually had the last baby bird, that's what I called the people I trained. The last baby bird, I had, I was like, listen, you know, even when you're off doing your own thing, if you need anything, just, I'm right here. Just reach out. And like, that is like happened. I periodically keep in touch with people and say, hey, look, how are you doing? You know, this, that, and the other. And I try to reach out with people and make sure they're doing okay. And I'm very conscientious about how I do my job. And that's just, I mean, that's just me. That's just how I do my job, which is why, and theoretically, like, me being conscientious in any position, like in any field, is probably going to be helpful. But the one in particular that I work in is just, I guess you could say it's especially helpful. And it's especially helpful because not being conscientious could be a real big problem, right? Just doing the bare minimum is not a good idea in the field that I work in, right? Like, there's a lot of things you can just get by just doing, like, the very least. Like, honestly, working at the shop, you get, like, if you did just good enough, right? Just good enough to call it done. Yeah, that was fine, right? And there probably weren't going to be any issues. But there were also, like, a lot of other factors. Like, if you work on somebody's car and you just do the job that you're paid for and you don't look at anything else, like, if somebody's doing the regular maintenance, the fact that you didn't mention something that may be coming up isn't necessarily the end of the world. If somebody's paying attention or taking their vehicle in to get regularly looked at, it'll be addressed at some point, right? And theoretically before it becomes like a real problem, right? But if you do the work that I do and you just do barely enough, you might miss something that absolutely very quickly can turn into a giant problem, because people aren't necessarily so good about checking in with stuff. And when people do check in with stuff, it's usually because it's a big problem. And at that point, it may be, you know, and that would be the same with, like, if you work on somebody's car, right, and they don't check their oil, they don't, you know, they don't do the regular maintenance, and they ignore things, and they stretch things too long, like, it's very likely that something's going to become catastrophic at some point, right? Like, tires have a life on them. There's a point at which your tires are not going to work anymore, right? That's just a thing. That's reality. Yeah. So, sure. But for the most part, like if your tires go bad, that's an easy fix. Now, if your tires go bad and then you get in a crash and there's a lot more going on there, right? And there's gonna be a lot more to fix and deal with. But you know, it's a little easier to, I think, mitigate some things. And the mileage and strain that you put on a car isn't necessarily translate to other things like one to one, right? So there's that. But anyway, so I have been trying to get my head screwed on straight, and I feel like I've been failing up. Now, friend insists that in the last couple of years I have like done a whole lot of things and this, that, and the other. And I feel like I've just been hanging on, honestly. And like in the last couple of years, I haven't really like set goals. Like I meant to. Like I said, I should set this as a goal, and then I'll, you know, have like some path forward. And like I totally like I recall actually saying that to somebody. And I'm like, this sounds like something I should probably do. And the person I said something to was like, yeah, no, that's actually probably a great idea. And I never did it. So, yeah. Now, at this point, I don't even know that some of that's going to even matter. Because, like, I think most of it's taken care of. But, like, there's some other things that I want to get done that would be helpful to me. That would matter and make my life a little easier. And I should, you know, probably get on it about those things. But, you know, all that aside, now, as far as stuff here, so I told y'all I got a Switch like forever ago. I need to get a capture card so that I can start gaming with y'all. I need a capture card, and I think another HDMI cable, and I think that's it, actually. Now, I have this idea that I might have to replace some of my other technology, too. But I'm not, like, prioritizing that right now. I think the capture card is, like, the biggest purchase, and that's going to cost me, like, you know, a couple $100. So, yeah. But once I do that, I can stream. Now, do not think that that means I'm not going to stream Project Time. I totally can. It just also means I'll be able to do this. Now, I think what would be best, right, is if I got a freaking laptop with the capture card. And did that, and then I wouldn't have to sit at my desk, because I definitely have to sit at my desk for this. And I like to sit in bed and play video games because I'm a child, obviously. So, yeah. But these legs are going on forever, but that's how my socks go. Forever! And I think that's really the only thing I've got to do, which is great, because between me and the wall, I want to be able to do stuff. And I'm probably, like, I have no intention of, like, getting, like, an Xbox or a PlayStation anytime soon, if ever. Like, I have a bunch of games that I like playing, on my Switch. So, yeah. There's that. Peace Death is, like, the best. Kill It With Fire is, like, kicking my ass. I haven't played that in a while, because that game is, like, incredibly difficult, actually. Oh, I also need to get I need to get a memory card for my Switch, too. Yeah. I think the capture card's gonna come first, because there's games I have that I can play. Now, I gotta tell you, when you watch me, like, actually play games, like, games, do not expect to be any kind of entertained unless you like laughing at failure, because I have my hand-eye coordination. I know, I'm knitting. I know, I'm sitting here knitting. It's not great as far as like timing and reactions and like placing things just right to like jump over the bridge correctly or dodge this obstacle. Like, it's terrible. Um, and I gotta tell you, I don't think playing more does not, in fact, like make me better at it. Like, no, just get more grumpy because I'm like, damn it. Then I get to a point where I'm like, okay, I have to stop from because I'm ready to break stuff, and that's where I get to. Um, I don't know if we talked about Wallet. Wallet and I have not been speaking. For reasons that I'm not going to get into. In the grand scheme of things, it's irrelevant. I thought it was kind of weird that Holmes was trying to like holler at me. Like, that was just weird. Given like the whole situation. Like, I mean, would have made like a really cute story. But there are like things about him that I don't love and I don't know that I can deal with as somebody more than a friend, right? Like, I don't know. And I don't even think the jury is still out. Like, I don't know. Meanwhile, I haven't heard from Mr. Owl. Mr. Owl was dealing with XYZ, went out of town to take care of some things. I said, hey, how's everything going? I have heard crickets. And then I got in touch with someone. So the funny thing is, right, I was on Tinder. I technically still am. But I ignored it. Anyway, I was on Tinder and I ran across somebody that I know. And every time I run across somebody I know, I start laughing. And I'm like, hey, friend, what you doing? Having a little trouble? Like, what's you feeling all right? Because Tinder's awful. It's a trash fire, right? If you didn't know, it is. And I've seen them over and over again. And like, I commented like ages ago to friend that I saw them. And friend was like, I mean, well, they're not my cup of tea because of XYZ. And I'm like, I mean, that's fine. It doesn't matter. But, you know, like, all things considered, like, dude's looking pretty good, right? Like, since, like, and looks not significantly different, but different enough from the last time I saw him, right? Like, in person, which was, like, years and years and years and years ago. And so I reached out and I was like, hey, how's that treating you? And, you know, basically, yeah, no, it's awful. And I'm like, yeah, it is awful. And then dude's like, so, hey, if you wanted to, like, get in touch or hang out, like, no pressure, like, whatever, let me know, and it's cool if you don't. And I'm like, dude, we're friends. Like, we've been friends this whole time. Why wouldn't I want to hang out? Now, let me fill you in with that, like, a little history, though. Like, I met this person while I was out somewhere, and that was the only time that we talked, really. Is I would go out, they would be there, I would say, hey, you know, you do your rounds, right? You go to places you frequent, you do your rounds, you say hey to everybody, and then you settle in and do, like, you know, whatever, right? I would not go there to see that person. I would not go there with that person. I would not leave with that person. I wouldn't spend even half or most of my time with that person while I was there. It was just, oh, hey. So it was very much so like this acquaintanceship sort of thing, right? But I'm like an Insta friend. So like once we're on friendly terms, like we're friends now, as far as I'm concerned, right? And just blame my like Aquarius moon for that one. Anyway, so all that happened, and then you know, whenever I went out and I saw him out, I would say, "Hey, what's up? How you doing?" You know, this, that, and the other. You know, the regular like small, brief catching up, small talk, which is like not the worst version. Like, it's probably the best version of small talk there is, right? Because I hate small talk. Like, I don't. God, it's dull. But like catching up with somebody who you haven't seen in a while, like that's a lot of what it is. So like, oh hey, how you doing? You know, what's going on, right? And that's like, it serves a purpose and it's fine, right? It's not I don't have an issue with that. It's when like all of your communication is that vapid that it's like, oh geez. And it's not the small talk is vapid, but like some of it is just banal, and it's just like, oh my god, like what is this crap? Like nobody, like why are we talking about this? Who gives a shit about the weather other than, oh my god, it's cold, right? That's it. So at some point I'm like, dude, we should totally hang out, because you know it's been forever and it'd be nice to catch up. And like it's fine to catch up, like texting back and forth and calling, but like it's, I don't know, I feel like it's a lot easier to catch up like in person. Like, hey, let's go hang out, you know, have coffee, because I don't do the whole let's have a drink thing. Like I don't, and I don't go out to dinner with like friends of mine because I don't. Like I would go out with friend, but like friend is like a special status, right? So we end up hanging out, and which, you know, just idly catching up, like not, this is not like a 20 questions kind of thing or whatever. And we hang out, and we've hung out a couple times, and every time we hang out, like I have a good time. We start laughing. There was a whole Charlie horse incident that I'll have to tell you all about later, which was just like righteously bad. Like, oh my god, I've never gotten a Charlie house before, so I did not know what I was in for. That was a lot. Anyway, and we've had a good time. Now the funny thing is, so Angel Bay, we remember that one? Yeah. Who was a jackass, we've decided. The person who knew the both of us knows this one. Like, I know her, and she knows him. And I did not know that they knew each other, because I was like, oh, and I was just like, I was wondering, because the only reason I asked is because at one point while I was talking to Guy, he said something about going a certain place that I know that she frequented. And I was like, huh, I wonder if she knows him. And so I was like, hey, Spooky Bay, do you know someone by this name? And I just gave the first name. And she was like, yeah, I mean, I know a bunch of people with that name. Like, and I'm like, this last name? She's like, oh yeah, I know him. And I'm like, oh shit. And I'm like, okay, so anything horrible that you'd like to tell me about? Basically. Now here's the thing. I know this guy well enough to know that I like him as a person. I think he's a cool guy, right? That doesn't mean I know all the, you know, that doesn't mean I know all the things that are relevant. It doesn't mean that I know, like, what's up. That doesn't mean I know, like, you know, skeletons and whatnot. And maybe, like, red flags or, hey, things you might want to know. Yeah, right? And as a friend, like, I don't get like deep into people's business. Like, you are always welcome to tell me whatever you want or not. Like, you know, that's fine. I don't like ask questions unless I genuinely have a question, and I try really hard not to pry, as I know some people don't want to talk about certain things, and that is totally fine, and that's not an issue. And I try to respect that by not being a nosy bitch, even though I'm totally nosy and I'm always like wanting to know things, right? And so yeah, all of that and a bag of chips. Anyway, so that happened. So we've seen each other a couple times, hung out, watched TV, watched a movie, shot the shit, you know, did the catch up. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna finish this last round and we're gonna call it good. Because I don't want to stop in the middle of a round, and we're almost at the hour mark. But anyway, like, we hadn't talked in forever, and so now I guess we're like mostly caught up. Um, there's lots of stuff that's going on in both of our lives that like we haven't gotten to, and it's, you know, not necessarily stuff that's like relevant, like me going and taking classes and like getting a promotion at work and all that. Like, nobody needs to know that, right? That's like, it's something that's happening, it's something that's relevant to me, but quantifiably it's boring, so like whatever. um and if you haven't been here for like the whole journey of me, like before, and where I was like a couple of years ago and doing this, um you may not be able to appreciate like what it means to have done all that, right? um Friend is like, you've done a lot, and I'm like, I mean, and she's like, you've done a lot, and I'm like, ah, yeah, yeah, yeah. And fine, she's not wrong, but at the same time, right, I've just really been trying to hang on and make baby steps in like a slightly better place. So anyway, I don't want to talk too much about Guy. um the long and short of is, I really like him. I'm kind of kicking myself for not knowing him better sooner. Um, because I would have said he's a cool guy and he's a pretty nice guy like before, but I wouldn't have been able to like, I wouldn't have been like a good reference for him, right? Because I would have been like, well, every time I see him, like, you know, hey, he's really nice and everything like that. Like, and that's like a terrible. Okay, we might have to do another round. I think, that would have been like a good reference, right? Because there's nothing specific, right? But yeah, so it's nice. It's nice to know that, you know, what kind of person he is and whatnot. Now, he's going through stuff like so many people are. I mean, I'm technically still going through shit. And so this is not a thing. Just like put that out there. This is not a thing. I'm okay if it were to become a thing, but I'm not pushing for it to be a thing. Because I am pushy. And I know that my pushiness is not well received. But yeah. Playing it by ear is like what's going on really right now. I don't know. I might not make it quite till an hour because I should do another round. Just do another round. Just do another round. Okay, fine. Like, I know I'm gonna go over the hour by the time I do another round. Like, we've got 2 more minutes, right? And, I'm not gonna do like each side in like 2 minutes, right? Like the whole row around, like that's not gonna happen. I don't know. I might be able to get really close though, so I think we're not gonna go like 15 minutes over or anything. And not that going longer than an hour, that's what she said, is a problem. But yes. Anyway, yeah, so that's where I am. Like, that's escape. So, like, done with class, or on a break from class, got another one starting soon, got my promotion. So I've gotten, like, one paycheck with extra money. But, like, my rent has also gone up. Like, so, yeah, that's happened. And yeah, like that's happened. And I'm still like trying to like sort things out. So it's not like I have everything figured out. There's 2 more classes that I have to pay for. I have to figure those out. I also like to pay down like my credit card. That'd be nice. I've been trying to pay another one like clockwork, and that one's been difficult. And I want to open a loan out so I can build my credit back and also like make my available credit like larger and like have more on time payment history. That makes sense. Yeah. Credit is so complicated, y'all. Like it's gross. I hate that like life damn near requires you to have it to have certain things. Like I think that's super gross. Yeah. I have to like I actually found like a list of like everything I'm paying and I have to like readjust it because I know like everything's gone up. Found out my car insurance went up. That was super exciting. I'm like paying a bunch of extra money for the next couple of months because of that because I had to like sort something out. Ew, gross. Yeah, adulting is the worst. But I found out a bunch of my bills have changed a little bit, and that's kind of like important information. And so I need to see like what I can budget, like what I can deal with and what I can't before I go and take out like this next loan. There's one thing like I have like I'm slowly but surely like trying to pay down something that I got like 2 years ago now. I'm like steadily doing it. I mean not fast enough for like my liking or fast enough for like it to be super super helpful, right? But like I mean I'm making progress, so there's that I guess. Anyway, there's another thing I could make progress on that would be like really helpful. And yeah, I've had to carry a balance on like one of my credit cards like this whole time, like a bunch. Like I keep getting it down and then having to rack it back up, and it's not helpful. Boo. So yeah, that's happening. But like all that said, you know, I'm trying to do what I can to make things to fix things, like fix as much as I can. And then I want to get to a point where I am able to actually help other people in this way. Because yeah, it'd be nice to be able to do that, like finally. It'd be nice to do a lot of things, right? Right? It'd be nice to finish these damn socks already. I feel like I've been working on these forever, and I'm sure if I look at my Ravelry, it's gonna say you have. I'm like, yeah, I know. I just haven't been touching them. Like, I know it takes me about 40 to 45 hours to do a pair of like super long socks, which if I worked on them 2 hours every day, which is not realistic, I could get them done in 2 weeks, right? About 2 weeks. Is that right? That's not right. I could get them done inside of a month. There we go. So, yeah. And that's not what's happening. Like, I don't have 2 hours a day. And so if I worked on them just an hour a day, it would take me like a month and a half to get them done, right? I'd like to get it down till I'm getting them done, like I'm getting them done in a month. Like, I would love to do a pair of socks a month. If that was the case, I am super behind. Super behind. I also know, like, so the whole 2 hour mark is I can't knit for more than 2 hours at a time without my hands, like, bothering me. So that's where that number is coming from. But, yeah. So, I could knit 2 hours a day. And I don't know, like I really like I wish I had been like working on stuff in this interim that I've had between classes, but I like seriously have had to like get my brain to not be soup. So speaking of soup and brains, I'm gonna go now. I'm gonna wrap these last couple stitches up. Thanks for watching. If you're catching the replay of this, you're awesome. I know. It's been like forever. We're gonna try and rectify this and make this not be like a thing. I'm probably going to... I need to readjust my schedule to like take into account like what it looks like now and like what's realistic and what is, you know, and then like make, I don't know, make a note to myself like when class starts to like readjust it again, and like change the schedule. See if I can remember that. Probably won't. Anyway, we're gonna set the needles up for the next round ish, kind of, not kind of, because we're not, because what I want to do is I want to lay them out so we can see how, look how they're coming along. So yeah, so that means we are this far. So this is this much leg, which is already taller than most socks, like that you're getting from the store. So thanks. Bye. I'll see y'all hopefully tomorrow to work on these again. And so long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen, and goodbye.